how can we tell that it's reliable? What's
Oh gosh. Well, that was another thing, the Dead Sea Scrolls, my goodness. And what's so funny is I went back in and I looked at Joseph Smith's translation of the book of the Bible and compared it to the Dead Sea Scrolls. Not one change that Joseph Smith made was comparable to what was in our Bible or in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And they've determined, they have manuscripts and historical documents that support the Bible not being changed.
Proof texts, they stand feet high.
Yeah, thousands of them. It wasn't like there was one set of scripture and like the Book of Mormon said, the great and abominable church came in and changed it. There were thousands of manuscripts out there, and they are all trustworthy, and they all reflect the same information that we have in the Bible
there's
now.
Such a very minute amount of error.
Yeah, and it's disappointing that Joseph Smith would put that in the 8th article of faith and put doubt in our minds that there was. I mean, we carry this Bible every week to church, at least I did, and I never really knew what it said. And
I didn't either.
That's how I actually know that I've been born again. I didn't have a slap in the face, or, to be honest, again, being a proud Mormon, I never really was broken. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't one of those that just had to look up to God and say, you've got to take over my life because I can't deal with this. I was this proud Mormon, I guess.
Yes.
And maybe there's still too much of that in me, but
No.
but my whole point is that I came to realize that the Bible was trustworthy, that there was something in it that I could trust.
And when you read it with spiritual eyes, it's a little different.
And reading it now with eyes that I'd never had before, and so that's the only way I really know that I'm a new creature, that I've really been born again, because the words of Ephesians and Romans and Hebrews, it's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, and it talks
and
about
there's so
a Jesus
much
and a
to
God.
learn.
Yeah,
We can't ever.
No, and that's what I almost thought originally when I was coming out. I thought, well, gee, the Bible, I mean, that's going to get boring in a short order. I mean, how can you have one book to go through? And now I realize it's so
huge,
incomprehensible. Yeah.
So why did the Father leave Jesus there at the end on the cross? What was the purpose in him leaving him? Was it because he
I think it
was in our sin?
No, I think it was a final choice to give Jesus, at least that's the way I'm looking at it at this point, that Jesus had that option of even at the last minute to make a change, or and that was his choice. Otherwise it wasn't. If God was with him the whole time, then he really wasn't making his own choice.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Jesus says, "It is finished," and of course, what happens to the veil?
Yeah, the veil in the temples. And I didn't know that as a Latter-day Saint. Did you know that one?
No.
It's right there. All three of the synoptic Gospels talk about the temple, the veil in the temple being rent. I didn't know the significance of that, because the high priest used to go in and sprinkle the blood. And when Christ said, "It is finished," that means I've shed my blood. My blood's now on the altar, and the veil of the temple was rent. We don't need an intercessory between us and God anymore. No high priest. Jesus is our high priest, and that's what we call it, having a relationship with Jesus Christ.
And so the laws and ordinances,
yeah, they were all done away with.
And then the church, the LDS church, Joseph says he's restored this gospel, which places all these laws and ordinances back in place, and all the priesthood. And
yeah, it's kind of funny too, because there's a lot of laws that the Jews observe, feasts and sacrificing animals for some, and if there was supposed to be a full restoration, then it seems like you'd restore all of those things too. But anyway, Jesus said that the gates of hell wouldn't prevail against his church, and that his words would not pass away. And I never understood that as a Latter-day Saint. I always assumed that there had been an apostasy, and now where 2 or 3 are gathered
Gathered,
in my name,
there
there
am
am I
I.
also. So I don't
So we
think there
know
was an
that
apostasy.